I'm just going to ramble for a second. I don't think I have been as frustrated with a professional wrestling company as I have been over the past maybe 2-3 years with AEW. And I feel like it's not objectively the worst. I mean, not even... It definitely is not the worst wrestling I have ever seen in my life. I wasn't watching WCW in 2001, but I was watching WWE in 2019, and I feel pretty confident in saying that was a much worse product throughout the entire year. Basically, pre-pandemic WWE was much worse than AEW. But yeah, AEW makes me a lot angrier. And I think that's because I had been burnt out on the shittiness of late Vince booking, that it was sort of just expected that they would let you down, that they would make a very baffling decision, like The Fiend losing to Goldberg. I wasn't angry, I remember closing my laptop in just, I should have seen this coming, I should have known that they would do something like this. I think the same show is when Ricochet got squashed by Brock Lesnar. I was just disappointed. But AEW really frustrates me. And I think it's because they have it all. Well, it's a multitude of things, but they have all the potential in the world. They have an incredible roster. They have a true wrestling fan, whether you like him or not. Tony Khan is very clearly just an internet wrestling fan with a billionaire father. And yet, nothing comes together in AEW the way it should. Nothing does. And it's always been there. I hope the sound of my car is not overtaking my voice here. There's always been issues with AEW. Largely the same issues now have always existed. But there was enough quality there in 2019, 2020, that it was easy to overlook. But now there's nothing there to distract from what I think is just a fundamentally flawed product that I don't think the owner is even interested in improving. I don't think Tony Khan will ever give up the booking to someone else for the rest of his life. And it's very tough because I also think it's not the worst. And it seems like any engagement that comes online about AEW is just hard left, hard right. It's either flawless and everyone that has issues with it is just a WWE fanboy or a bot, or it's WCW in 2001. It's the worst thing in the world. Nothing is done right. Tony Khan is just a complete and utter failure as a booker. And it's like, man, where's all my middle ground people at? Where's all my, okay, the product has a lot of flaws that have prevented me from enjoying it, but it's still not that bad. And I guess I can explain it like this. Every episode of Dynamite has something that I can find enjoyable. There's always a solid, good, maybe great match. There are wrestlers that I love. Some of my favorite wrestlers are frequently on Dynamite. But there's always something wrong. And it's not just my issues with largely the matches. It's production as well. I don't think their segments are ever 100% fantastic. There have been great promos that still have strange decisions. The production is flat out kind of amateur, which is amazing because the amount of money bankrolled into this company, yet they can't properly transition their backstage audio into their live audio mix, which is something that you like college students can do. I mean, that's not the biggest issue with the production anyway. It's the sound. It's that the crowd isn't mic'd properly. I have been at AEW, in case, there's an accusation that I'm just not a real fan. I've been to so many AEW shows, pay-per-views. I was at Forbidden Door 2023 in Toronto, and that crowd was fucking insane. Like, electric for most of the show, but watching it back on the television, you can't tell, really. It's just never mixed well. Loud, insane crowds are just dull when you watch them. It's so strange to me. Okay. The lighting. I'll just fucking go off about the production. The lighting is so weird, and it's not just a spray tan issue. It's not just that the people come out like Adam Cole looking like a Simpsons character. It's everything just looks yellow. And it didn't used to be this way. I think if you look back at 2019 AEW, it was a little brighter. I don't know if it's how they dim the stage lights or the house lights, or if it's not properly white balanced. It could be. But nothing looks right. Everything looks dull. Everyone looks older on AEW television, and the lighting doesn't do anyone any favors at all. The camera work is not, peak Kevin Dunn levels of poor, but it's still not great. Their director consistently misses pivotal spots, and it's almost like they don't, well, I'm sure this isn't really a theory at this point. It's pretty apparent that the people that are putting the matches together, the agents and the wrestlers, are not communicating with the television production crew, because you try watching an Anarchy in the Arena match. Like, try actually watching it and just sort of analyzing it on how it's directed. They miss everything. I remember maybe this was the second or third Anarchy in the Arena match where they finally included a dual split screen camera setup so that you could follow multiple brawls over the arena. And yet they still never actually use it for the majority. And I understand it may be an eyesore. You never want to hold on a picture-in-picture for an entire match like that. But you have to more carefully plan these types of giant spot fest crowd-wide brawls better, because you have your production team trying to catch up with, they're setting up a table spot here, but I'm going to cut to this ladder suplex. Oh, we've missed the table spot because we didn't time these things so that they could happen in a sequence. I don't think the wrestlers are really focused on what the other three guys in the match on their team are doing, because right now they're doing their own spot, and they got to just hope that the cameras are going to capture this, and majority of the time they don't. They're just a fucking headache. Cutting across, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we've missed half of the spots. But, I mean, sure, you could argue it adds to the chaotic feeling, but no, it fundamentally is just poor production. And it's not like it's the first year. This is the fifth, coming up on sixth year of this company. It still has not gotten any better. Oh, my God. If you're having... an AEW pay-per-view is going to be like 12 matches. Probably like 15 matches at the end of the day. If you know you're going to have 15 matches, why have table spots in match 2 and 3? Or the hardcore match is match number 4, and then like match number fucking 11 is an Anarchy in the Arena match. Everyone just sort of does the same shit, and I feel like that's an actual issue with production, because it's just repetitive story beats, match beats. It's not only is it repetitive, but it doesn't really make sense. Why are you fucking... If you're trying to get a giant, insane spot over in the main event, why is the fucking pre-show guys doing it? That does make me sound like I'm a fucking old man yelling at clouds. And I'm not saying all the pre-show matches or match number 1 to 7 have to be George Hackenschmidt and fucking, Headlock City, baby. I want to be entertained. I want an exciting match. But it's just like way too much throughout. So by the end of every single pay-per-view, I'm fucking exhausted. And I don't give a fuck, really. There's certain incredible matches and main events that are able to, like, win me into it. But a lot of the time I'm like, oh, wow, another top rope move. Oh, another 2 count? Whew, yeah. Yeah, seen it 17 times. That's, again, I'm just listing them off. These are not in order. Because I think the biggest problem, production-wise, is the goddamn commentary. I hate that the internet tried to convince me that Excalibur and Tony Schiavone were good commentators. Oh my god, they are not. AEW commentary fucking sucks. At first, it didn't really matter much to me. I guess I gave it a pass. I don't know. I didn't watch PWG, so I don't really have any strong faith or love towards Excalibur. And I didn't watch WCW, so I don't give a shit about Tony Schiavone. You know, I liked the, you know, it was heartfelt that he was able to come back into the business with all this love. Tony Schiavone specifically. But this guy adds absolutely nothing to commentary. If you actually watch an episode of Dynamite and you just kind of zero in on Tony Schiavone's commentary, make note of how many times he mentions what a great match it is, how he loves AEW, and how he loves being here tonight, and various just, oh my god, expressions. He hasn't added a single thing to the commentary since he got there, other than the "it's Sting," which he, honestly, I got kind of annoyed by that too. I'm gonna take some water real quick because I'm about to cook. Stay hydrated. I'm not driving anymore at this point. Okay. Yeah, no, Tony Schiavone fucking sucks. There's goodwill there, but also he adds nothing. And there are, put it like this, AEW employs the 2 best commentators in the world right now. At least top 5. In Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, Ring of Honor. And they are not the lead commentators on your lead show. Instead, your main guy is Excalibur. And I bet he is a nice guy. I bet he's chill. I don't even mind the mask. I think it's cool. It reminds me of fucking TWF, Thumb Wrestling Federation. If anyone knows that. But, man, this guy is so goddamn phony. I have not been convinced by a single performance by Excalibur of all the angles that Dynamite has run, of all the attempted murders, of all the crazy oh my god moments. This man has never reacted in a way that has improved the moment. Think about really the best commentator. Think about JR. Obviously it's JR. This man had so much emotion in everything. He brought it to the table. When Triple H did some heinous shit, my god, you thought he fucking hated him. Triple H, you son of a bitch. I apologize for your ears there, but my god, Excalibur just feels like he's reading off goddamn cue cards. And I know he literally was at one point when they had to do that, again, another production mistake where they didn't have enough time in the show to list off the matches for next week. So it was like he has to run them all down in 15 seconds. And that was like a funny joke to the internet, but like it's just poor time management on your show. Like, come on. Anyway, this dude take a shot every time he says unbelievable to every high spot in every single AEW match. And that kind of ties into the issue with all these matches on their pay-per-views doing the same moves largely, same high spots, is that I have to hear the same reaction from this fucking guy who he's just a bad actor, I guess, in a way to say. He can't see, as Junior Soprano would say, he doesn't sell it. He just, there's nothing there. He takes me out of it because I don't know, I guess I didn't used to draw attention to it. I guess I would tune it out. But now that I'm actually aware that he sucks, every time there is a big segment, when Daniel Bryan was getting massacred by fucking Jon Moxley, you know, when he lost to him and they were like suffocating him, and he's like crying, he's like fake crying. I'm like, bro, you're shitting the bed. You're shitting the bed. If anyone wants to argue that this guy is a good commentator, please tell me one great call from him in the 5 years of AEW's existence. One solid call. And the phoniness, plays devil's advocate. Michael Cole, I think, also has an issue. It feels rude to call phony, but I don't buy his sincerity a lot of the time as well. But Excalibur, considering he's the lead announcer, and to be fucking honest, he's probably going to be for the rest of his life. It's real bad. And it's a shame. And I would use the argument because, I understand being loyal to him, and you can say, he's the voice of AEW. He's been there since the start. You know who used to be on commentary? Who was the voice? Vince McMahon was the voice. And he was not great. Again, unbelievable. Very shared trait. And he was replaced by better commentary, and it improved the product. So I find it very frustrating that that's not being done to AEW, because it's just you can't tell me Dynamite would not be better with Ian fucking Riccaboni as the lead voice. This man is incredible. You have him. You have him. Oh my god. And that's just the production. That's not even talking about the fucking booking. And oh my god. I wish I could be looking at specific examples of segments where everything is almost perfect, but then just a little thing is off or a shortcut is taken. But now my brain has trailed off, because now I'm going to talk about my other biggest problem with this company, and one that I do not think will ever be improved. And I guess that is because of a fundamental aspect of AEW that was sort of marketed to the wrestlers and the fans, in that there was going to be no writers. Every wrestler is sort of, on their own. They get to work with who they want to work with. They work with their friends. They have creative freedom as far as storylines for themselves, and their matches go. That was a big highlight, is the wrestlers get to wrestle the way they want to wrestle, and not the WWE style. Which, a side note, the WWE style has not been a thing in many years, and you can thank NXT and partially AEW for that. But that's a whole other subject. The problem with this wrestlers can wrestle how they want to wrestle way of formatting the show and the matches is, it seems like these people are so kind. And if main event Jon Moxley is wrestling undercard Trent Beretta, well, they seem to get along just fine. They're good buddies. Therefore, Jon Moxley is going to be a good friend to Trent Beretta and let Trent Beretta have shine in the matchup, which is not like it's a new concept. Ric Flair fucking did it to people he liked. He would let them be the Ricky Steamboat. The problem with this, one, Flair wasn't doing it televised all the time, but two, is when you have a roster full of people that are incredibly generous to their opponents, you have no tier, power level, scale of ranking who is the best wrestler in the world, or in the company specifically, because everyone is 50-50 competitive with the entire roster. The world champion this is my opinion, but I'm sure it's parroted by other reputable sources in the industry. The world champion should be a higher tier of wrestler than the mid-card champion, but you could argue everyone. Sometimes the gimmick can sort of, chicken shit heel champion is not supposed to be a level above, the strong mid-card babyface, perhaps. But regardless, everyone is too goddamn generous with each other. Fucking Will Ospreay. No, not Will Ospreay, but he's done the same thing. Actually, yeah, it could definitely apply to Will Ospreay. Mr. Commander can whoop my ass for 25 minutes. But the specific example I'm thinking of is when Swerve Strickland, who I do like, won the world title. And the very first thing he did, he won it on the Sunday pay-per-view. And the Wednesday, he went 15 minutes with Kyle Fletcher. And Kyle Fletcher sums up every single problem I have with this. And I don't think he's untalented. But what they did with Kyle Fletcher was, I guess it's Tony's, you could say it's Tony's way of booking, is his way of building up people is by having them have very competitive matches that they will always lose, but they will look strong doing it. And that is a solid idea if it's fucking Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker in the ladder match. That was a star-making performance. But people weren't taking The Undertaker to the limit every single week. And Tony Khan, I just don't think understood that. Because Kyle Fletcher, for like 8 months before they're now currently, as of December 2024, considerably pushing him, for like 8 months, this dude would come out and he would wrestle people that were obviously going to beat him. He would kick out of all their shit. He would hit them with all his shit. It would be a super close heavy quotation, star-making performance. And he would lose. And the idea was that, these higher-tier wrestlers were bringing up Kyle to their level. But really, they were just lowering themselves because everyone went 15-20 with Kyle Fletcher. Your world champion, Swerve, just won the belt, and he's getting his ass kicked by Kyle Fletcher, who, regardless of fucking Ring of Honor wins, he had never won a match on AEW television. It's like, as a one-off, fine, let Kyle Fletcher be that. But it wasn't just Kyle Fletcher. It was fucking everybody. It was some dude from CMLL would come in and take the fucking champion to task. Emi Sakura, who I don't really have any strong feelings about, fine wrestler, winless on AEW television, winless. The fan base consists of people that watch her in fucking Stardom, or wherever the hell she came from. This is a more recent example, but Emi Sakura whooped the shit out of Mina Shirakawa, who was just about to challenge for the women's world title. And yet, I think it was the Rampage or the Collision before this match, Emi Sakura is kicking her ass. It's like, well, she lost, obviously, but she took 90% of the match because I'm sure Mina Shirakawa and her are chums, are good friends. So naturally, with no one telling them, rein it in, the old gotta make Roman look strong, it's just like, yeah, sure, take most of the match. But now you've dulled your contenders. You've dulled the people that are supposed to be taken seriously. And it seems like a weird fucking Mark thing to complain this much in depth about it. But I've watched this for 5 years. No one feels like a big deal because everyone is challenged. Everyone is challenged by anyone. It's so to the point where fucking Bobby Lashley squashed, even quote, Swerve Strickland on pay-per-view, and people were mad about it. And I even thought that match was a bit too much. I thought Swerve did, too much. But in fucking far as AEW is concerned, that was the closest you've come to a true squash match. And people were pissed. Why? I wish Swerve got more. I wish the match could have gone 5 minutes longer. Why? The point is to make someone look like a threat. Why have it prolong the outcome? The outcome that should be Bobby Lashley wins, looks like a fucking badass. So why did he need to take more moves and have more of a back and forth? It's like, fuck. I got into it in 2018 because I was an NXT fan. I was an NXT TakeOver fan. I could not wait every 2 to 3 months for a takeover because I knew I was going to get some freaking bangers. I was going to get some 20 to 30 minute bangers. And that eventually got old. But in the moment, it was fresh because, weekly television, especially on WWE side, was not that case. So AEW seemed like a bit of a, dream come true because you could see this type of banger on weekly television. Yeah, it was sick for like a year, like 2 years maybe. But now it's like, fuck. Now when I see, let's give an example. Will Ospreay versus, pick someone out of the hat. The bounty hunter, Brian Keith. I see that match and I'm like, I'm not thinking of Or if it goes longer than 10 minutes, I'm not thinking, whoa, this is fucking an unexpected banger. I'm surprised if Will Ospreay, who should be the main guy, the top babyface, I'm surprised if he ever wins a match in less than 10 minutes. And he never will. Because he wants / Dave Meltzer has tricked the wrestling fan base into thinking the better a match is, the longer a match is. The more moves happen, it's like simple math. If you just do more moves, the match will just get better. Like every fucking best picture is a 5-hour fucking epic. No. Brevity sometimes. There are great matches that are 6 minutes. And they're not the greatest, the fucking main event of WrestleMania. But sometimes a match needs to be 6 minutes. And if you random childhood match that I'm shouting out. If David Otunga versus Randy Orton in the Christmas street fight in 2011, for some reason I always remember that match. It was probably like 10 minutes, and it was Randy Orton whooping David Otunga's ass, eating cookies. He does ho-ho-ho. Wade Barrett interferes, hits him with a big boot. Otunga tries to capitalize, get a cheap win. Orton kicks out and then RKOs him and wins. It was like 10 minutes long. If it went 20, it would have been objectively worse because David Otunga did not need to be taking Randy Orton to the limit because he was not going to be pushed as a main eventer or even a top mid-carder. So why the fuck does every match in AEW have to be better by going longer? I want more squash matches, which is crazy because I never thought I would want that or be saying that. And then I watched AEW, and now I understand why squash matches exist. I'm sorry, Vince. I'm sorry. You were right to have Rusev or Ryback crush these people in a minute. Because when eventually someone does, put the boots to this person, I care a lot more than if everyone does. Not sound like a fucking broken record, but god damn, AEW just makes me roll my fucking eyes. Jon Moxley won the world title, which I don't think, in 2022, a bad decision, if you're asking me. But then he's going fucking 20 minutes with Roosh. I fucking hate Roosh. And that's for other reasons, as him being a bad wrestler, but it's Roosh just whooping the shit out of him in a title match that he did nothing to earn because he hasn't been on television. But then he whoops Moxley, looks like an equal contender to the world champ, loses the match, obviously, very competitive, and then he disappears off TV again, only for the next fucking guy to come around. Fucking Lee Moriarty coming in, putting on a fucking underdog performance, taking him to the limit, losing, disappearing, bringing the next one. Fuck. And it's like when it should happen, like when Takeshita was being pushed. I fucking love Takeshita. That was a good idea, having him be, incredibly competitive with Hangman. Sure, that was good, but everyone else is, so it matters less. Oh, God, and there's so many more issues with it. That's just such a minor thing. Oh, it's like you watch a Continental Classic match, this big tournament, which, has no fucking stakes. Oh, and they all go 20 minutes. One of those Continental Classic matches, if it ended, shockingly, in 4 minutes, I'm sure people would complain because they didn't get their 5-star fucking match of the week. But I would love it because it would be unpredictable. Oh, okay. Speaking of Continental Classic, the final example I'm going to bring up, because I'm just going to keep on repeating it, or repeating myself. Okada. Regardless of how much they have fumbled Okada, it was a layup what they had with him versus Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston did this whole fucking 3-belt thing so he could take his fucking Akiyama tribute picture. He could sit in the position and pretend to be Kobashi. Sure, that's fine. Well, now you have a chance to put over your new multi-million-dollar signing, Okada, fucking legend. I was there for the match. And I remember the disappointment coming on my face, the disappointment coming across my face as, it still sounded weird, as Okada went 15 minutes with Eddie Kingston in his, like, first match as a new signing. He should have squashed Kingston. If he fucking whooped Kingston, and I know it's Okada, who's never going to have a fucking less than 10-minute match, another big problem of his. If he had whooped Kingston in like 8 minutes, you know, take his fucking shitty-looking chops and walk through them and beat him convincingly, well, now Okada feels like a big deal. He feels like someone not to fuck with. Someone you should, like, oh my God, he's a threat. But no. He went 50-50. And then he won the belt, but it didn't make an impact because it's fucking Eddie Kingston. And no disrespect to Eddie Kingston other than his fucking shitty-ass matches and his shitty-ass look and his fucking straps that he pulls down. I like Eddie Kingston, but it was bad booking. Anyone can... I don't know how you couldn't see it. That he should have ran through Kingston. And, oh my God. I need to go to bed, but, you know, I'm sure I'll continue this at some point. 24 minutes. I've been running for 24 minutes. Oh my God. But I'm not going to bed because I have more to say. Tony Khan is a very impatient booker. Very impatient booker. I always think about this. And I won't apologize for making so many connections between WWE and AEW. It's the number 1 and 2 company. So I find it interesting. I don't think Tony Khan would have ever done something as risky, as creatively bold, as having Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania 39. Hated decision by everybody. Oh my God. You should have seen Reddit a day after Roman beat Cody. Real tears. It was like kayfabe was back. And people hated it and thought it was a very bad decision. And they had to hold that for an entire year. And the payoff, Cody beating Roman, arguably, made 39 retroactively better. And kind of, you could look back on it more fondly of like, damn, that, you know, it was a risky fucking call, but it paid off in context of the story. Same thing fucking happened in New Japan with Tanahashi and Okada. Takes a lot of patience, you know, to not, you know, just trust that it'll work out in the end. Tony Khan would have never fucking did that. Tony Khan would have booked Cody to beat Roman for the pop because the guy loves him the pop. But more on to him being a lazy booker. Oh, fuck. It's more on to him being an impatient booker. It's more in how he structures feuds, because I found a lot of people use the defense of like, I hate that people say AEW has no stories. And like, because it's easy to make fun of people for saying that, because no, objectively, that's incorrect. They do have stories. They've always had stories. You could make arguments about, you know, how much of the television time was spent towards these random-ass matchups, but there was always stories going on. The problem is that AEW has very boring stories. There's never anything that intriguing, I find. It's always just the match is supposed to sell itself. And it used to, but it's hard to deny how lazy they could fucking get. Like, oh my God, okay, I'll fucking rant about this. This is a perfect example. Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. Not to just turn this into fantasy booking, but you bring in Ricochet. You know the number 1 most anticipated match is him versus Will Ospreay. You book it 3 weeks in? Why? Like, why don't you just make people want to see it more than just based on the idea of it? Have them both do separate things. I was kind of in favor of having Ricochet be heel, personally, because I feel like that coming in, you know, as the cocky guy from WWE, he kind of contrasts very well with Will Ospreay then. So you can sort of build these two up separately in their own side feuds and title matches. To hint at it, maybe a few backstage interactions, which WWE current day has done fucking excellently. Things are teased so frequently, and you can look back and you're like, oh wow, the fucking Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre like feuded over and under for like 4 fucking months via just like backstage build up. Fucking so many goddamn examples of that, of them just teasing things and then paying them off later. And AEW really doesn't do that. It's just like, oh, okay, Ricochet's gonna have 2 matches. He's gonna obviously not dominate them and win convincingly. He's gonna fucking, you know, struggle. And then on the 3rd match, he's just gonna face Will Ospreay. Just to pop a rating, I guess. And it's like, man, that's just lazy. It's just so lazy. And then, you know, sure, he didn't have Ricochet lose, but like, you really could have just built towards that. And that meant nothing now. And everyone forgot about it. Just like all of these fucking matches. Like, imagine MJF versus Kenny Omega. An actual storyline, you know? Could main event a pay-per-view. Easily. But instead, it was brought up, like, out of the blue on Dynamite. Booked for a match on Collision. Had the match. And then, you know. And people could make the argument of like, well, no, Kenny was really hurt. So, like, Kenny had to leave and you had to do the match. Maybe if you didn't waste fucking matches with Kenny on bullshit that didn't matter, like Vikingo, who gives a shit how good and crazy the table spot was in that match, really? Did it mean anything? And they haven't interacted since. Like, fuck. I would have taken a fucking program with Kenny and MJF or something. Oh, my God. But yeah, sorry, more water. Yeah, no, I'm long over this whole watching just for exciting matches at this point. Because again, I do the same shit. They're all expected to go this long. So, with no storyline intrigue other than the occasional, I'm defending AEW. I love AEW. Positioning the fucking company as the top babyface instead of an actual top babyface. Which, okay, we can segue into that. Tony Khan's booking keeps everyone on, as I've established, everyone on a neutral playing field because they're all competitive with each other. And that means how many big top fucking baby faces do they actually have? Because, to be honest, all of them fucking lose or get their ass kicked. Will Ospreay is the guy. It's so obvious he was the guy. Loved by fucking everyone, even casual. My fucking buddy who never watched AEW only knows Swerve and Will Ospreay. He's like, yeah, they're sick. I'm like, boom, there you go. Build it around them. But instead, as this recent example, we have the Death Riders immediately should have been feuding when they took over and killed Bryan Danielson. They should have been feuding with the top guys that they had built, but they hadn't built any, and the ones that they should have were off doing side shit. Fucking Will Ospreay having this vanity feud with Kyle Fletcher, and fucking Swerve Strickland with the Hurt Business. And I liked what happened with the Hurt Business, but still, it was bad timing. You should have had more than the fucking Dark Order as the ones defending these supposedly big giant threat to AEW, whatever that fucking means. No, and you know, I like Jay White being positioned in this way, and I like Hangman, you know. Hangman is a great example of poor Tony Khan booking because he had this focused story around him winning the championship. He beat his alcoholism, threw away his drink, hugged his boys, celebrated with the title. And then he proceeded to just not be treated like the top guy, which he should have been, regardless of whether or not you think he's him on that level, even on Ospreay's level. They should have attempted. But instead, he feuded with fucking Lance Archer. And he feuded with, oh God, that Adam Cole feud was fucking shit. Oh my God. Yeah. Whew. I just had a flashback to how bad Adam Cole's entry into AEW was, outside of the initial moment, which was still overshadowed by a better debut, which is hilarious. And he just kept having the same match where he would just, have the Adam Cole NXT TakeOver match, but it was like against Dark Order guy number 5, Preston Vance, and who looked like he could have eaten him alive. He absolutely, Adam Cole looking like a goddamn 12-year-old, and he hits the low blow, and he just kept hitting that low blow, and then he got put into the title picture, and he didn't cut a single good promo, and their matches did way too much. Oh my god. Yeah, it was the main event of fucking Revolution. Oh my god. I remember there's so many kickouts. They were just forcing an epic. I just went off on a tangent. But it was lazy Tony Khan booking, so I guess it's still relevant. Yeah, I don't know. I just never really end up looking forward to anything in AEW because everyone is presented as not important or not, like, you gotta have, I'm just all over the place, but you gotta have at least one top babyface. I don't need a John Cena, but clear number one guy at the top. He should be the champion, to be honest, but, in the instance of Jon Moxley, the heel champion, you should have a litany of credible threats to this guy, but most of them are tweeners or heels, and there's just no one likable. Also, I guess no, it is still relevant to Tony Khan's booking. Yeah, I don't know why I shrugged at the thought of that. It's absolutely poor booking because he's made everyone so fucking lame. And I'm sorry, Orange Cassidy is not that guy. And little rant about Orange Cassidy. I don't mind Orange Cassidy, and I think Orange Cassidy worked perfectly how he was used in, 2021. I like the fact that you have this guy who appears, in backstage segments, just kind of roaming around, a funny comedy character, and then occasionally he is put into a match and he's just fucking great. But he never goes to pursue anything higher because he doesn't give a shit. And I understand that was what they were trying to do, the character arc of like, well, he learns to give a shit and he's gonna win this title and he's gonna have the worst fucking title reign I've ever watched that people say is a classic. His shitty ass, was it International Championship run, where he just every week would wrestle a random mid-carder with no build-up. It would go 15 minutes. He would get fucking obliterated, and he would sell the hand, the story, the hand, the broken hand. Didn't fucking affect him much because he literally had like 22 defenses with it. It's selling the same shit, taking every bump and pushing his hair back. When she knows that about Orange Cassidy, it'll annoy you. Every time Orange Cassidy falls down, he pushes his hair back. I'm telling you. But yeah, no, I think he worked perfectly where he was. Some guys are supposed to be in the low tier. Santino Marella is a legendary icon of my childhood. And everyone loves the moment where he almost won because it was crazy against Daniel Bryan with the Cobra kick out. But he shouldn't have won. It's like the novelty is that it was this low card guy that like just came so close to it. But no, he still should be the low card guy. That's okay. Orange Cassidy worked perfectly, and it was fucking hilarious. And you could have done a lot with that character without just making him this invincible babyface who just went on an insane winning streak of boring fucking spot fest 5-star matches. It was bad. Though I will say, to praise it, not to be a fucking Debbie Downer, the match where he lost it to Moxley, I thought that was a great match. It was a main event match. There was the great moment where he's doing the lazy kicks and then he fires up and he aggressively starts kicking him more. That was good shit. But the actual feud, or what fucking feud? The actual title run was not fucking legendary because it was just a series of fucking matches. There was nothing to it. And that was like two arguments I was making at the same time. Orange Cassidy was overpushed. And I hated his run. And he should just be a fucking... Oh, yeah, you get it. Yeah, nothing's ever going to really change. Because Tony Khan's convinced that it's... I don't know. He's convinced that all people want to see is... Or maybe it's just what he wants to see. Is just matches. Interesting matches. That's cool. And I can honestly put it on and still have a good time. But I'm never going to be as invested as I am in current day WWE. Because they've now given me a reason to care. Not to make this a fucking... an ad for WWE. I'll give out about them forcing Triple H down everyone's fucking throat to be this pivotal character, and he's opening every pay-per-view. Yeah, no, I find that cringe too. Don't worry. Like, I'm on both sides of the coin. I'm a fence sitter. But yeah, no, AEW, it's boring. It's fucking boring. It's just matches. And to say, again, they've had little bits of niceness comes out. I thought the Tony Storm, Mariah May feud, that was very well done. I'm trying to think of other things, you know. The Bro Chachos at first, actually, before they fucking ruined it, and still have not pivoted away from this feud between MJF and Adam Cole. You know, it was great for the first bit. You know, I was a huge fan. I really love their match with FTR on Collision. Again, they have good matches. FTR, great. FTR never gonna fucking miss. It's an FTR match, my God. But have they had any interesting, compelling stories? No. They've just had a lot of quality matches. Nothing I can look back on. Nothing that is fucking half as good as the story between Ray and Dominic, where Dom was a little shit after turning on his dad, and his dad didn't attack him for like 6 months, and then eventually Dominic was shit talking Ray's wife and his mom, and then Ray just walked up and fucking slapped the shit out of him. Got an insane pop, beat the shit off, and then they had a great match at WrestleMania. It was fucking sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but yeah, that one slap to Dominic, I was more invested in than 1,000 fucking Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Copeland. Oh, Adam Copeland, oh my God, yeah. Why does he feel marginalized?